Hi, it's Jeff here with a look at a 25 mark essay question on the UK tax burden. So this is designed for Edexcel paper 2. It's a made-up question using data on the UK tax burden. The chart shows the increase in the overall burden of tax, especially from 2019 onwards. 37% of GDP then and now forecast to be over 42% by the end of 2028. Now, the tax burden simply measures all the money that comes in from direct and indirect taxes, such as income tax, VAT, corporation tax, national insurance. In 2023, the government raised 1.1 trillion in revenue from taxes, around 40% of GDP. It's going to go up even further. It's the highest for several decades. So here's the 25 mark question. Assess the likely effects on the UK economy of an increase in taxation as a share of GDP. So when you're marking a 25 marker, there are marks to be awarded for knowledge application and analysis, 4 levels, and marks for evaluation, 3 levels. And we'll keep coming back to those in this video. We prefer a 5-paragraph answer where you're making essentially two key KA points, interspersed with evaluation as you go, and the evaluation should be based on the preceding analysis. And then we're looking at the end for a final reasoned judgment. Okay, so here's the first KA point. One possible impact, good signposting there, of a rising tax burden is on consumer spending and cyclical growth. For example, in some really good context here, the UK government's frozen income tax allowances at £12,570 from 22 through to 28. And this has led to fiscal drag, which means that millions of people on relatively low incomes are now paying income tax. Consequently, higher taxes, along with the effect of the cost of living crisis, has meant that real disposable incomes have fallen. As a result, this has led to lower consumer spending on goods and services, with consumption the biggest component of aggregate demand. When the economy grows less quickly, there's less incentive for businesses to invest in new capital goods, which can then cause a slowdown in real GDP growth. I've shown the effects of falling consumption and increased employment taxes, a cost for business, in my ADAS diagram. The main risk is that higher taxes can lead to a slowdown or perhaps a recession. Well, this is level 4 KAA, and the analysis diagram supports this. The fall in AD because of higher income tax, and the inward shift in aggregate supply because of higher employment taxes, including employers' national insurance. So a good diagram there. In evaluation, increased tax revenues can help to reduce government borrowing, leading to lower interest payments and potentially improving fiscal sustainability. Some great context here. The student clearly knows a lot about the UK economy. The UK government ran a budget deficit of over £300 billion, or 13% of GDP in 2021, and national debt has climbed to above GDP with interest payments of £2 billion a week. So one might argue that higher taxes are needed now to bring the fiscal deficit down and national debt under control. And if successful, there will be less risk of crowding out, and long-term interest rates on bonds and mortgages can fall. As a result, this might help to stimulate UK growth in the medium term. So, really good context, talking about fiscal sustainability and avoiding crowding out. So that will be level 3 for evaluation. Second possible effect is on the labour market. Nice signposting. So your second effect is on the labour market. Okay. Free market economists argue that higher income taxes or higher tax burden can reduce incentives to work, particularly for higher income earners and those people on low wages thinking about taking on extra hours. And if employers such as supermarkets, other retailers and hospitality sectors face higher tax burdens, they may hire fewer workers or reduce real wages to compensate. Then the developing point, we've seen in 2025 quite sustained criticism of the UK government's decision to raise employers' national insurance, which it is feared will lead to weaker employment, especially for younger workers who have less experience. Youth unemployment in the UK is 15% and rising, and if the problem gets worse, then long-term growth may suffer and relative poverty may rise. So again, full of context, and a nice point about the fact that labour markets incentives to take on workers and to work might be affected by this. Here's a nice way to start an evaluation paragraph. A counter-argument is that the effects of an increase in tax depend on how the government uses the extra revenue. If used effectively to improve public services and infrastructure, it could boost or lift long-term potential output, LOAS. For example, higher taxes or higher tax burden might fund extra investments in the NHS to reduce waiting lists and bring down economic inactivity, which is currently 21% of people. So the amount of contextual knowledge of the UK economy here is superbly good. While some tax rates have gone up, the UK government's also increased tax allowances for small businesses wanting to invest to upgrade hardware and machinery. And then the final reason judgment. So it's a nice phrase here, on balance or overall. I would argue that there are more downsides than advantages to the tax burden reaching a 70-year high. Higher corporate income taxes discourage FDI and make the UK a less attractive business destination. Our corporate tax rate for large businesses has recently climbed to 25%. And this, combined with the effects of the UK leaving the European Union single market, has led some to claim that the UK is at risk of becoming less competitive as a venue for inward FDI. So there's a nice little bit of critical distance there, taking a step back and thinking about the wider consequences of the tax burden climbing. So overall, and I put this through Examiner AI, and it gave it 23 out of 25, which is clearly an A star, and this is an A star answer. 15 out of 16 for KA, 8 out of 9 for evaluation. Well, I would actually give it 9 out of 9 for evaluation, because there's a really good final reason judgment. And really, that's what the 9th mark is for. It's very strong all the way through. The evaluation of the KA is very strong, and the diagram supports the analysis. So this is clearly an A-star answer. Examiner AI gives it 23 out of 25, which is fine. I personally would ask the question, could somebody do better than that in the time allowed? And the answer is probably not. So I'd be giving that 25 out of 25. I hope you found this useful. Stay tuned for more videos as we head towards the exam. Thanks for joining in. And if you want to add some comments or some questions, please do so in the comments section, and I'll do my best to reply to them. Stay safe, stay curious. See you sometime soon.